NBA associates developed a gyrojet to help soldiers hit targets from long distances. The plan was to use projectiles equipped with tiny rockets and a gyroscope to help them maintain their trajectory and course. Once fired, the miniature missile's microjets would kick on, allowing it to accelerate and adjust for wind and gravity. It seemed like a great idea that would make snipers' lives much easier, but the weapon ran into all sorts of problems. Since the projectile's rockets only kicked in once it left the gun, the gyrojet was pretty useless at close range unless it was used as a club. The intricacies that allowed the gun to fire without blowing up required a lot of moving parts that jammed freely. This meant the gyrojet was incredibly unreliable, which is not what a soldier wants in their weapons. In the 1950s, the U.S. military thought they were on something special, and they developed a plane that took off straight up into the air like a helicopter. The tail sitter would be a failure, but would pave the way for other successful aircraft like a Harrier jet in the future. The tail sitter was designed in the 1950s by the Navy to fix the problems of airplanes taking off and landing without much runway to work with. They did the best they could with the technology available to them. The tail sitter was a tiny plane with a complex propeller on the front, which allowed it to take off and land vertically, thus eliminating the need for a runway. However, these planes ran into all sorts of problems. Even the most skilled pilots found landing incredibly difficult. Taking off and then moving the aircraft into a horizontal position wasn't quite as bad, but when it came time to put the tail sitter back down on the landing platform, the plane would often tip over. Other times, the pilot would not be able to slow down fast enough, and the back of the aircraft became damaged as it impacted the ground. The military eventually gave up on the tail sitter, and it was deemed a failure. To be fair, the idea for vertical takeoff never totally disappeared, and although the tail sitter never made it to the front lines, many other aircraft based on that same premise have. One Cold War weapon was not only a bad idea, but had a terrible name as well. The United States military came up with a satellite that would shoot enemy missiles out of the sky by launching bowling ball-sized pieces of tungsten at them. The unfortunate name given to this weapon was Brilliant Pebbles. It seemed like the Strategic Defense Initiative could have come up with something slightly better or a little more ominous than Brilliant Pebbles for their space-based weapon, but that's what they went with. Brilliant Pebbles was supposed to work by launching a series of satellites into space with several projectiles aboard each. These projectiles could then be shot out of the satellite and intercept enemy missiles flying through the atmosphere. It is unclear what made the researchers think this was a good idea, or that it would even work, but they continued to roll with it. In order for Brilliant Pebbles to have any chance of succeeding, there needed to be at least 4,000 of them in orbit. This would cost astronomical amounts of money for weapons that would most likely miss their targets almost every time.
Het is zover. De ID-bus, de volledig elektrische bus van Volkswagen, geïnspireerd op die iconische en door iedereen geliefde Volkswagen T1, alleen dan helemaal vanaf de nul gebouwd, volledig elektrisch. Hoe is die auto? Hoe is het exterieur? Hoe is het interieur? Hoe zit het met de aandrijving? Welke features heeft de auto? Deze dingen is alle handen. Wil je nou snel naar het voor jou relevante onderwerp springen? Dat kan. Ja, de eerste indruk van de ID-bus, die had het natuurlijk al. Ik heb hem al eerder mogen ontmoeten. Nu wat uitgebreider. Je ziet duidelijk de knipoog naar de T1. En dat vind je aan de voorkant bijvoorbeeld terug door de grote inlaat, die diamantvorm. Het grote logo hier. En de vriendelijke, zachte tweetjes. Het lijkt alsof de bus een beetje naar je voeten gaat. Ja, en daar dragen die koplampen ook aan bij, die er ook weer duidelijk links naar de andere ID-family-leden. En deze is ook voorzien van IQ Light LED matrixverlichting. Dat is verlichting die met je meedenkt. Als jij bijvoorbeeld een bocht inrijdt, dan gaat de IQ LED verlichting met je mee. Dus die schijnt alvast de bocht in, zodat je echt omzichtig bent. Ook bij de mist en slecht weer. En dan is er ook nog de dynamische groot lichtassistent, die boven de 60 km per uur groot licht hanteert. Ongeacht of je tegenlicht die hebt, wordt die namelijk gemaskeerd, de lichtmiddel wordt gemaskeerd, waardoor je tegenliggers eigenlijk niet in dat grote licht kijken, maar jij wel licht op de weg. Kortom, een verlichting die met je meedenkt, welke je naast even over een groot licht. Dat is de uitdrukking voorbereid. Dan de afmeting. Lekker boksen, zou ik kunnen zeggen. En flink, 4,70 meter lang, 2 meter breed, 2 meter hoog. En dat betekent heel veel ruimte voor bagage, voor gezin. En helemaal omdat ze natuurlijk op dat NEP-platform staan. Dus die motor zit op die achteras. Dus verder geen ruimte nodig voor aanleiding van de techniek. Kortom, alle